conversation started and kind of get excited about membership week. But some universities I've found out have done it in the past, or like they did it last week in the beginning of the week, and some are doing it throughout the entire month. I mean, it's really up to you. Nationals just kind of set this week because a whole membership month for AIS is kind of a lot, and they broke it down into quads this year. So this week is Midwest Quad, so it's kind of our time to shine as Midwest Quad leaders and get our members really excited about AIS and to join. I know Bobby Joe said that you guys aren't doing one this week because of a lot of studios are gone. Greg, are you doing?
No, I think we're going to do ours later on, possibly near to our kind of midterms or finals week, like farther on. We just have a lot already planned in September.
Okay, so it's not like planned. It's just to have a whole push of a week, and then
yeah, definitely.
In the future you could push for forum then too.
Definitely.
These things are always really awkward.
I think Ryan got good at handling the awkwardness, but yeah.
Well, I'm still new.
There's more than 3 of us.
Yeah.
Right? Did you guys have any meetings, like in the beginning of the school year, to talk about a theme or a motto for the year?
Our first general meeting is actually tomorrow at 4:30. So.
Okay. Yeah, so far we've had like a really casual meeting just because we had like the events that we had planned kind of just through email together, and so we came together right like the day before school started and talked about those events, but haven't really talked about the whole semester yet. So.
Okay. I think my question is, like, I know my chapter, their e-board got together and they talked about like a theme for the entire year. So their theme is they say get on our level, and it's like when you come in to the school, you're a freshman and you're on like a level of you're really not in a negative term, you're ignorant to everything.
Yeah.
And then through the levels you get more and more into architecture, but then AIS is like the next level up from that, and it's basically like get on our level and join AIS basically.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys have a theme like that at all. I know that's worked for LTU in the past to have a theme, but I don't know.
Yeah, I guess IOC's never done a theme, but I think that's a great idea. Definitely, because right now, like, I mean, the goal of our semester is to make sure we have a lot of events coming up, because in the past we've had like a really good kickoff and then not been able to provide what we promised. So I think it's really about us doing what we said we're going to do. So
follow through.
Yeah.
That's something we have the problem with too, is we have a huge portion of people show up at the beginning of the year and then it really dies out, and I think that's at our chapter's problem, just in keeping events going throughout the year and not just having meetings every month, but doing more than that and going beyond that.
I don't know if it's just your chapter, because there's a couple other chapters that have the same problem. I think a solution to that would be you have all these big events in the beginning of the year and you get really excited about AIS, and then it kind of dies down because people they dive into studio then. Maybe having casual events that are just like, hey, come hang out like for 10 minutes and just get out of studio.
We've got, we just talked about this because we just had our executive meeting right before this, like an hour ago, and so we've talked about doing movie nights and stuff when we know a lot of people are pushing towards the end of a deadline or something like that, having like a 2-hour movie or something just so people can take a break or like work through a movie. We've got a big like classroom in our building, so we'll just set up a projector in there and work on that.
It's provide popcorn that maybe. You mentioned that because our chapter is starting to do that this year as well. Just every Monday night, just play a movie.
it's definitely a good way to bring people and kind of make it more casual, so it's not always, you know, this big planned event or anything like that.
Right.
Yeah.
It's intimidating to walk up to a huge event like that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're thinking about not necessarily doing like tournaments, so like a ping pong tournament, since we have ping pong tables, something that we could set up for them, or building a giant Jenga set that we can spray paint, like sponsored by AIAS, which anyone can use like whenever they want. But those are kind of our casual things we're thinking about.
I keep looking over here because Sam just got to my studio and they have a Jenga set too.
How big is it actually?
It's a bigger Jenga set. We use 2x4s and we cut them to be, I think they're like 6 inches long. And we laser cut an etching of the AIAS logo on them so we know they're ours.
Yeah.
They did that like 2 years ago now, I think.
We bring it to every event.
I'll have to write that down so we can do that as well. That sounds like fun.
Yeah, the length is just like the 2x4, like 3 times is what you cut it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But
yeah, everybody loves that. Yeah. Have you guys thought about fundraising at all? Do you have fundraising events?
Our big fundraising event we're just talking about now is utilizing our 3D printer and laser cutter, and kind of going into our union at our school and selling kind of like swag things, or like we thought about like phone displays, or like how you prop up your phone on something like that, like an easy, really design file, but like people who don't have access to those things will buy into it, if that makes sense, like pencil holders and whatnot.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, that's cool. I think that's something different. We're kind of thinking about if we do a ping pong event, if it's a member, they'd get free. They can sign up for free, but if they're non-members, they'd have to pay like a $2 or $3 fee to register for it. And we have a lot of kids who really like playing ping pong and are very competitive, so I know if they weren't members, they'd pay that $2 to $3. So that's kind of how we're planning on making a little bit of money this semester.
I would look into that. We just tried an event like that, and it didn't go well, I guess.
It didn't go well?
We had a showing of a movie. I mean, we had people show up, but just not as big as we wanted.
Yeah.
But I think making things exclusive in that way are kind of counterproductive to what you want to do, maybe.
Yeah.
It's a good idea when you're like selling a good to charge for it, because people can directly see what they're getting out of that. But having an event and having people pay even a low price, people are immediately like kind of shoved away, like they put it out of their mind because they don't want to pay the $2 for something that's kind of intangible in a way.
Yeah.
And then going off of like how to get members, you can charge events for non-members and make them free for your members.
Yeah.
If that fits what your university has. Like there's a lot of different people in the studio, and there's like 4 AIAS members per studio, and they like bring 3 of their friends from studio. They would have to pay, but they would be free. And then they'll, if they come to enough, they'll be like, oh, maybe I want to join AIAS, or maybe it's worth the $47 or whatever your chapter dues are.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was just, I don't know what didn't work with ours in that way, because that's exactly what we tried, is like, well, if people aren't members, then they'll pay the money, and it kind of incentivizes becoming a member to kind of get this as well as on top of everything else. But it didn't work out, and I heard a lot of complaints that because it was $2, they didn't exactly know what they were getting out of it, that they just didn't come and didn't pay.
Was it like someone who was well known who was running the workshop? I mean, not well known, but like was at your university that knows what to do with the program?
I mean, we screened the movie Archiculture, the documentary. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yeah, I've seen it.
In our movie theater, and then we had a panel discussion of 2 professionals, a student, and a faculty member. here to kind of talk about the movie afterwards and answer questions and whatnot, kind of like a Q&A session to kind of open discussions about changes in architectural education, but
And it wasn't a very good turnout?
it wasn't a great turnout. Like, we had people there, but I think we were definitely hoping for more.
Yeah, because Iowa State actually hosted, I think, the first architecture event of at least the Midwest Quad. And we actually used it as kind of our kickoff event. And so the whole student body was invited to kind of see what we can do. And then we had a reception after, and we actually got a lot of people who registered then. And we kind of did the same thing this year with doing a Pechakucha event with 6 firms. So for the things we, I think, put a lot of effort into, we try to keep them open to like the whole student body just because we want to make sure that our efforts pay off and it gets to the most people. But the kind of things that are still neat and I think important, like we want to try to make more exclusive, because if we don't have like 50 to 60 people there, like it's not a huge deal as long as we have 15 to 20. So I think the ones that don't require a lot of attendance would be the better ones to actually charge for.
Yeah, no, I totally get that.
Like, and we always struggle trying to actually make things exclusive because I think the people, like the vice president, myself, and people who are more nationally involved in our chapter totally understand making things exclusive.
Uh-oh.
She cut out.
Team who aren't involved, they like as nationally involved, they don't exactly see that as like something we should do. So it's always hard for us to make it exclusive for AIAS members. So it's something like I want to actually get done this semester is actually get exclusive events. But last semester our kind of solution was to have a limit of people that could go on certain events. So we did a firm crawl and we made like a limit of 15 people. And if you were an AIS member, you had first preference. And if you weren't, you had to sign up. Like the first people who came who weren't members could go, but people who weren't members who signed up later just couldn't attend. So it's kind of, we're slowly trying to transition into it.
Into making that kind of a precedent, or things you've done before, because I think once you do it once, people get it, but it's like doing it that first time, maybe that could be hard.
Yeah. But like we got really good feedback from our faculty advisor about the first preference for members. And hopefully we can continue with it into making it only members.
I think that's something that works really well, is having the first preference be AIS members.
Yeah. And
then setting that for the future, and then that's a really good transition into making member-only events.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, it might have been just because we tried to do it at the very beginning of the year. So like a kickoff thing where it was kind of exclusive, maybe that was too soon and too large of a scale of an event to try that, but it's definitely something to keep trying for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's difficult to try and do a member-only event in the beginning of the school year because you're still trying to get those members. But I think in the spring semester that would be a good way, or that would be a good place to put it, because you already have the first semester members, and then you also have the membership drive in the spring. Yeah. So do you guys have events at all this week? I mean, I know it's not, you guys said you weren't doing membership week this week, but do you have events at least?
Yeah, so Iowa State, we're doing architecture tour down in Des Moines. So we wanted it to be free for our members and then have preference again, but it turns out that down in Des Moines, there's an Iowa Architectural Foundation who was doing the tour for us, and we were hoping they'd actually do it for free, but they're still charging us the tour fee, so that's still $10 per person, which is unfortunate, but we're still going to go along with it. And then hopefully we plan to do 2 more tours this semester, but we hope we can get faculty to actually host them so that it can be free for our members.
Okay.
So that's what we're doing tomorrow.
On Thursday, here on the 11th, we've got our mentorship kickoff meeting. So we have a mentorship program where we pair up our members with professionals in the area.
That was going to be my next question, if you guys had a membership program set up or a mentorship.
So our kickoff for that is in our local AIA office just downtown, and it's kind of just like a chips and or crackers and cheese and like veggie platter, fruit platter, whatever kind of thing, where we set kind of like an open environment for the mentees to meet their mentors.
Awesome. So Iowa State doesn't actually have a mentorship program. We don't, but they've had, like, the entire department has tried a mentorship program before, and it's always like they try it 1 year and it doesn't work, and they try again like 3 years later. So what we're going to try to do this semester is, rather than being like a professional mentorship, it's going to be trying to create a kind of peer mentorship, at least a culture of it. So we have to still talk to faculty about it, but we want to do, like on Fridays, the last 20 minutes of studio be a kind of walk around where our leaders from each studio kind of know the schedule, and they'll take people from their studio and to another studio, and they'll be able to talk with other people in that studio. So pairing up strategically, like older students with younger students, and then switching it around. But just to get that to work.
I know how my chapter did it last year, is they had people, like older members, sign up to be a mentor, and then they had the young, like the freshmen and some of the sophomores, be the mentees, and then they would just pair them up. And some of them were paired up and they worked, and some of them they didn't work. So this year they're doing like a speed dating kind of, where the mentors would be on one side and then the mentees would be on the other. And I think that's going to work a lot better, because then you get like a minute with everybody, and then you can be like, oh, I really want to be paired with that person. They're interested in what I'm interested in. And they also had a couple events last year where they would go to dinner and ice skating. And I think those are...
Yeah, this year we're going to the Apple Orchard.
Okay, sorry. And this year they're going to the Apple Orchards, and I think having a couple events like that will help set that mentor-mentee partnership, and it's also more of like you get a little best friend, I guess. But I enjoyed the program last year, but I think I was one of the mentor-mentees that paired up fine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We've already got a program set up for peer mentorship in our college, like at the college level.
Yeah.
So our like input into it is the professional level, kind of like the networking.
Okay. Is it with
it
the
worked pretty well last year. Yeah, it's with our AIA. So all the all the mentors are AIA members.
Okay.
Throughout Nebraska.
We had that too, but it didn't really work out. I don't know. Like, they never had a follow through with it.
Yeah. It was difficult. We've had problems with it in the past, just with people following through and showing up to all the meetings, because we do have quite a few mentors who drive an hour or so to meet up with their mentees, and then they have like 1 or 2 people show up, and so that's kind of a bummer, just because they put a whole bunch of their time into it and aren't getting a lot of like feedback. So we're trying to make our mentor groups a little bit larger this year, just to kind of try to increase the number of people who show up and the value that both sides are getting.
Yeah. I think for our professional side of it, like a mentorship kind of thing, instead of actually pairing people, we're planning on maybe doing a series of dinners where it's like a membership dinner, but we invite different professionals from Des Moines to come up to Ames for dinner with students, and we'd set up like one person at a table of like 4 or 5 students so that they can have conversations. And every dinner wouldn't necessarily have the same mentors coming in, but different people, so that they can set up relationships, and if a student actually connects with someone, they can get their information and kind of create that mentorship relationship.
So kind of like a networking dinner.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would lead into a mentorship.
Yeah, and then maybe giving like students who attend the dinners kind of instructions to, if you really find someone important, you know, tell the person you've been talking with why you enjoyed what they're saying and why it connects with you, and maybe, you know, get their contact information and make sure you contact them and ask them a question that you've kind of talked about already.
And say, hey, I really enjoyed our conversation over dinner. Would you be interested in being my mentor?
Yeah, and then, you know, actually like have something that you want their help with, and just kind of teach them the basics of how to create a mentorship relationship before the dinner.
Okay. So with your events this week, going back to that, since it is membership week, if you guys can share everything through Facebook, on the page, on your page, Instagram, Twitter, whatever you have, just so we can kind of create a storm of social media from the Midwest.
Definitely. I'll even post what we did last week, so you have some pictures from that.
Do you want, or where exactly do we post that? Because I've got like our Instagram page and whatnot, like the handle and whatnot. So is there like we send you this information, or are we just hashtagging AIAS something?
Like hashtag AIAS Midwest Quad, and then membership week.
Okay. Like MWQ, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay. Great. I'll include that in our general stuff tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Because I noticed, I don't know if you noticed the South Quad at all when they had their membership week last week. Joel made a printout of himself and was like, take this to every event with you. And I don't know if I want to do that. I don't know if I really want to put myself out there like
that. What,
Nicole? But I'm going to talk to him tonight and see how well that went, and then maybe I will duplicate that.
Okay.
I don't really have much. Have you guys thought about forum at all? I know it's a little early to be thinking about that, but some chapters have contacted me about it already.
Oh, what did they contact you about?
How to get there.
Okay. By plane or car, I guess.
It was one of the Chicago chapters, and I basically just CC'd with all the other Chicago chapters because they usually get a bus to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we want to send students like we usually do, but we've had a kind of, our head of our department's changed, and I think her attitude about funding for forum and grassroots is a little bit different than our old head of the department.
In a good or a bad way?
Like in a bad way.
Oh no.
So it's hard because we probably have to have that battle again because we've had really great support, always having like 2 people at least at each thing, and like support from our schools for that. So it's gonna have to be a discussion that needs to start soon with our department chair, and to get our old head of our department's there, and the one before him is still at our school. It's just that they retired from that position. And our faculty mentor is very passionate about making sure they get that for us. So it's probably going to be like a 4-way kind of bombardment of like support for it. So it's going to be like an interesting, intense conversation. But
just keep pestering them; they'll give you money. Hopefully.
Oh, I'm sure it'll be fine. We'll get something. I know I'll find my way there. So I don't have the money to find my way there yet, but it'll happen somehow.
Yeah, we'll have to be doing quite a bit of fundraising just because it is farther away than last year's in Chicago. It being in Chicago was nice because people just drove.
Right.
But it's a little bit too far. And same with our quad this year. It being all the way in Lexington, Kentucky.
Yeah.
It's going to be quite a bit of fundraising to try to get plane flights and whatnot.
Yeah.
So if anyone has any ideas how to fundraise that well.
If you, like, I know there's a couple schools on the way, on your route to Lexington. You can kind of make those stops and pick those people up, so on a bus to make the cost a little less. I know we did that. We shared with UDN and Carbondale. So Carbondale drove to LTU, which is right outside Detroit. LTU drove to UDN, and then we just bused each around to it that way.
Gotcha.
And one of our past presidents had made last year a kind of fundraising sheet that we gave to firms in our area. We have an AIA Iowa convention, which is coming up in September, but we had a form that showed like how much it cost to go to each kind of, so like transportation costs, registration costs for a student, hotel costs for a student, and it gave different kind of levels they could donate to support a student going, or the whole cost of a student going. So we actually got a couple firm donations last year, and I think that was a major reason why. But I can definitely send that file. She just sent it to me, so I can send that file to maybe you, Nicole, and you could maybe share it.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah. But she's also the person who made, unlike our programs, we kind of have this, like on all national programs, we have the like kind of circular grid that shows our relationship to like NCARB and AIA. And she actually made that graphic, so she actually has some pretty great graphics for it. But
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Let me just write this down so I don't forget. I write everything down in this AIS notebook so I don't forget it, and then sometimes I even forget it then.
Yeah, well, like you just forget to look at it. You're like, I'll remember it because I wrote it down.
Right.
And I'll look at it, and I'll remember. But you're like, I don't look at it.
Greg, are you on any committees?
Yeah, I'm on our Freedom by Design. I'm on mostly every committee. I'm the president, so I'm kind of in everything a bit.
Oh, sorry, I meant national committees.
Oh, national committees? No. I don't think so.
I'm on 2.
Yeah, I knew. That's why I asked him.
Yeah. I'm kind of...
Which ones are they?
There's a bunch this year. I have to pull up everyone. I know there's the Special Events Task Force that Dan and I are chairing together. There's the Governance Committee, Finance Committee, Freedom by Design Advisory Task Force,
membership and communications.
And communications. Look at you, rockstar.
I assume it's too late to be part of any of those.
Yeah, unfortunately, but there's always next year.
Yep, there definitely is.
When do you graduate?
2016.
Okay. So one more year after this year.
Yep.
Oh boy.
When do you graduate, Nicole?
I graduate in the spring.
Yeah, me too.
Exciting.
I'm like, let's get there.
Final countdown. That's all I really have right now. You got my sheet that's like, this is how we're going to communicate this year?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, did that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because I don't know if some people understood it or not.
What was confusing?
What?
What was confusing about it?
On how to contact me, I think.
Okay.
Like,
I mean,
the best
just
way to contact me if you want to answer right away is to call me, because I have to answer. And then text messaging is the next, and then email. It'll probably be like a day or two after.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that's just the way I'm used to working, so it's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, you guys are pretty responsive, so I don't really have to worry about you guys. So, hey, how's it going? Kind of thing. But if you just share your pictures this week.
We'll do.
In the future too, because then we can just keep it going. We want to be better than the South Quad and the other quad, for that matter, because we are better than them.
Yes.
They just don't know it. They think they know it, but we already know it.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna share a video, and then I guess that's all for tonight.
Okay.
I'm gonna send out an email tomorrow for Membership Week to kind of get people excited about it, or hopefully it gets people excited about it. So I'm just gonna look up if I can find it. I think you may have seen it before. I always forget how to. There we go. I just think it's really funny because actually I've learned through a Hangout earlier that it was by Ohio State. So I don't know if you've seen it yet or not, but I'm gonna share it now. I notice something different about that video every time I watch it. All right, well, have a good night.
You too.
You too.
See you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.